What's going on, everybody? This is Matt Maroff with my special guest today. My co-chair is Lee M. Perlman from the New Jersey bankruptcy lawyer. Lee is a practicing bankruptcy attorney now since 1994.
Correct.
Since 1994, he has two associates exclusively concentrating in consumer bankruptcy, FCRA and FDCPA work. He has a staff of over 10 overseeing the three offices where they are consistently filing approximately 500 bankruptcy cases per year, which to me is pretty astounding with that. The three offices are in Cherry Hill, Mount Holly, and Toms River, New Jersey, correct?
Correct.
All right, cool. So Lee, let's jump into it because we have things we're going to talk about today.
Awesome.
We're also going to be talking. There's going to be, a discussion of open Q&A with people that want to ask questions. So I have the Short Sale 101 group, and I'm actually going to be pulling up my regular Facebook account also too. So I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between both Facebook accounts. So whether it's going to be on the Short Sale 101 group or the rather regular Facebook account. Lee Perlman and I met, I'm going to say 3 years ago.
3 or 4 years ago. And I appreciate you having me on today. I know how busy you are. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you coming on because I know how busy you are with your clients. But no, this is important. And Lee is basically our resident expert when it comes to the foreclosure process in Jersey. He actually has given us advice on, other states, and he's connected us with other attorneys across the United States. One thing I want to talk about that I want to make known is that Lee and I are going to hopefully put together a panel of other bankruptcy attorneys in other states, and Lee is basically going to be my co-host, and we're going to be interviewing other attorneys, other bankruptcy attorneys from other states, talk about a little bit about the process. Obviously, the process, it's the same, but there are obviously different state laws when it comes to sheriff sales and public auctions. So, Lee, without further ado, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. I think the idea to have a panel of other attorneys from different states makes a lot of sense. I mean, although bankruptcy, does involve federal law, the foreclosure timeline, as I like to say, the timeline for how quickly something gets to a sheriff sale might be different in New Jersey, which is a judicial state, versus a non-judicial state where they don't have to file suit. So getting observations from some of the bankruptcy lawyers who are in the trenches from other states has been a goal of Matt's. I'm trying to help him facilitate that so we can get a panel together and really exchange information for consumers and homeowners so they know what's happening. Because, let's be frank, we're in a very, very difficult, challenging time. Matt has done a great job with his team, and Leah, I've watched their webinars of talking about what's going on in the trenches, what's going on with investors, and how mortgage companies are either honoring forbearances, declining forbearances. So your team, Matt, has done a great job of keeping people informed on that.
Well, Lee, I appreciate all the kind words. I was actually blushing behind the scenes right now. Not only kidding. Let's just jump right into it. And if people have questions, obviously they can ask them.
Sure.
Right. COVID-19.
Yeah.
Okay, what's really going on behind the scenes, from the bankruptcy side? Because obviously people are contacting you and they're saying, look, I'm in trouble. What are you seeing on the front lines right now?
I'm seeing a lot of people who are in present Chapter 13s who are impacted by COVID-19. I have a number of clients who are in existing Chapter 13 cases with payment plans that they're having difficulty with because they've been furloughed, their hours have been reduced. In some cases, they've been laid off, and there's just a lot of uncertainty. Different industries don't know when they're bringing workers back. State guidelines differ. And foreclosures, as we know, are on hold, but clients don't know, when the other shoe is going to drop. And living with that kind of uncertainty, I live it with my clients every day, and trying to get them a little bit of relief, some kind of pause in their trustee payments. Because remember, these are clients who have been impacted, and under a Chapter 13, which we'll talk more about, a repayment bankruptcy, they're required to keep current both on their mortgage payments and their trustee payments. And when they need to take a pause because of a layoff or because of a furlough, as it relates to those payments, it's difficult. And we have to give them advice when there's that uncertainty. Sometimes we have to go to the court and ask the court to suspend or pause payments until they know what's going to happen with their employment.
Yeah, so obviously, there is a lot of that going on right now, and the sheer panic with people with the COVID-19. When it all started, and you can agree or feel free to disagree with me, when everything was shutting down and the country was shutting down, they really should have done the right thing. What they probably should have done at that point is they really should have set up for a hard reset. They should have contacted the 3 credit bureaus and basically said, look, we are headed to a catastrophic time right now in our country. So we're going to ask from this date to this date not to report late payments, and or what they should have done was really offered a hard reset. Whereas we could have said, look, we're going to shut it down. We're going to shut it down from the stock exchange. We're going to shut it down from the financing companies, the leasing companies, and we're going to do a hard reset for 3 months. So, and obviously offer, the pandemic checks that they're offering people across the board. And it really shouldn't matter whether or not the person is on unemployment, not on unemployment. And I know as a small business owner, I try to, because, we are affected by it, but things are getting back on track. There's no shame in that. I've been depleting savings to basically, keep everybody paid and keep the company afloat. Got a marketing, budget and stuff like that, because I know that what's going to happen in the next 6 months to a year is going to be another blow to the United States. So I believe they should have done somewhat of a hard reset for 2 to 3 months, or they should have done at least a 60-day hard reset and said, look, everybody stay home for at least 30 days. And if you have the capability, or, put a curfew on people with their own businesses and stuff like that, because now unfortunately, people are talking about Chapter 7, the big boys. Some of the big boys are filing Chapter 7. Then you have local businesses that are not going to be able to open up, and they're not going to be able to sustain, paying the rent, and they're going out of business. What's your opinion on, what do you think the government could have done a little bit differently?
I think there could have been more of I think you're right. And I think generally there could have been more of an emphasis on making sure the relief was a little bit more widespread. So, for example, what we had from the CARES Act, which was the act that Congress passed towards the end of March, that provided for, PPP money and provided for extra unemployment. It provided that if you are if you're a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac backed mortgage, which is about 3/4 of the mortgage in the United States, you're simply entitled to a forbearance, which is a pause in the payments, like you said, Matt. But it's not really a deferral. What they should have done, there should have been more we have to define our terms. So there's a difference between a forbearance, which is just a temporary pause in payments. And that forbearance can take a couple forms. It could say the end of the 3 months, you're responsible for the resumption of those payments. It could be spread out over a period of time. It's all going to vary depending on what you negotiate. But a deferral, like you were suggesting, those payments would be put at the back end of the note. So if there was some certainty and consistency across the board, I think you make an excellent point, Matt. Business owners like yourself and like me, all of whom have been impacted, would have been able to focus their resources on keeping their employees afloat and not having to worry so much about these mortgage payments and this, the mortgage is the main obligation that you have as an individual or a consumer.